Hello, David.
Hello, my friend. How are you? Whoops, where's all my paperwork?
I am good. How are you?
Once again, you are out live to the world.
Oh, that's great. Nobody listens to me anyway, David.
Oh, I do.
Well, I appreciate it. You all ready for tomorrow?
I've got a little more paperwork to push tonight, but yes.
Good for you.
Yeah, we got it all. It's all set up, and
Yep.
to do a little bit more behind the scenes. But ready to go. Just need 1,900 of my closest friends to come cast ballots, and
I really hope we have a good turnout. I know the times are different. And have you had a fair amount of absentee ballots that you've passed out?
well, in comparison to the presidential election, no. But it's been pretty steady. I didn't get a count. I know a number of people were in today
Yeah.
voting, so we weren't overwhelmed with it, but hopefully it'll be a show tomorrow.
How did the birthday go?
We made it to 14.
Flawless, huh? To be 14 again.
Oh, I don't know. That was a hard age. Fun age, but a hard age too.
It was. I was a freshman in high school. It was tough.
Ready to give this phone up though. I was kind of surprised to see it snowing. I didn't think it was going to spit snow.
Yeah.
Let's just hope it's only spitting.
Well, on my way home, because I haven't got the plow on my shop truck, I took it off this morning because I had to do a significant amount of running. And with that big thing on there, that's tough. So I took it off and I didn't think it was going to snow. And on my way down through Camden, I'm like, oh my God, I think I should turn around. But I didn't. We'll see what happens. I may end up going down early tomorrow morning.
No, I don't think it's going to amount to anything. I hope not.
Yeah.
But
well, I've been, I can access cameras to watch what's going on. So I've been doing that and it doesn't look bad. So I think we'll be all set. Hopefully.
just a little warning shot for everybody. Another one. I see Selectman Ray as an attendee. I'm gonna. Maybe that's not Mike. Maybe that's.
Is he lurking?
He's on the attendee list. Maybe I'll bring him over and we'll find out. Might be somebody else that is home tuning. Probably got to get rid of this background too.
Man. Ha! Here we go.
There he is.
Here I am. Yeah. Yeah, I could not find the link that you sent, so I had to go to the town website link and hope that you would notice me. So I was watching you look and say, oh, well, looks like there's this guy named Mike Ray here. I wonder who that might be. Let's give him a chance. Thank you.
Oh, you're most welcome. Then I thought maybe you had somebody at home that likes to watch, and then you log in, and then, you know.
Oh, there are way too many aliases and possibilities
Yes.
in all this, right? Yeah.
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 Well, I do have the ability to send somebody back from the screen to be an attendee too, if I tuned in and saw, you know,
Yeah, good.
cat or something.
Yeah.
Is chair done?
There's Lately.
Hi.
Hi there.
The commute was rough tonight. Oh, come on, David, you're not leaving the Christmas?
Oh, geez.
I don't want to promote one over the other, but I wanted to have the picture up there while I was firing up the computer and getting the TV going.
Hello, Josh.
Good evening.
Hey,
Josh,
Josh.
How's it going, everyone?
Well, thanks.
very well.
Well, it is 6 p.m. Shall we get rolling?
Okay.
Welcome, everyone, to the Lincolnville Selectmen's meeting. It is already the 14th of December. Just as a reminder to everyone, we are currently and still operating under the state of emergency as declared by the governor. As such, we are meeting subject to the Maine Freedom of Access Act. And so we are participating via Zoom. We do encourage the public to participate through telephonic, video, electronic, or other means. Please reach out to us in advance or feel free to participate via the chat doohickey there in the Zoom, or follow up with an email, or any way that you can. You can send a carrier pigeon, although I don't know what to do with that. So before we get going, Kern, would you care to read the quote, please?
Would. To shorten winter, borrow some money due in spring. W.J. Vogel.
Thank you.
Where do we get these?
They're always so good, aren't they? And do we have anyone, David, who wishes to participate in the Citizens Forum for any non-agenda items?
You have quite a crowd on the attendees list. So if anybody there wants to do anything for Citizens Forum, raise your hand with the little electronic raise your hand, or send something via the chat. We didn't have anything submitted via the general emailing inbox.
Okay. All right, we'll give everyone a moment. If there is any non-agenda items anyone wishes to bring to the board's attention or the public's. Not seeing anything, let's move along to the administrator's report.
Beyond the agenda, just want to remind everybody that tomorrow is election, special town meeting, election voting from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Lincolnville Central School. Beyond selecting a moderator, there's one article which is election for the vacant seat on the Board of Selectmen. As long as you're in line by 8 p.m. tomorrow, you'll be allowed to vote, and obviously being a registered voter. So do come see us. Also, all dog licenses expire at the end of the month. Please come in and renew them. You can do it online through the town's website under online services. You can do it through the state's website if you can find it under the Department of Agriculture. You can do it here at the town office. Please don't make us chase you, because there is a state mandated late fee should you be late. So please don't be late. And outside of that, I guess that's it at the moment, beyond what's on the agenda.
Okay, if you forget anything, just pop back in. Let's move along to upcoming meetings and announcements.
Again, tomorrow again is voting election day, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Lincolnville Central School. The Finance Advisory Committee is scheduled to meet Wednesday, December 16th, 10 a.m. It's a remote meeting. Midco Solid Waste Corporation is meeting Wednesday, December 16th, 6:30 p.m. Also a remote meeting. Conservation Commission is meeting Thursday, December 17th, 5 p.m. in the beach parking lot. The town office will be closed in observance of the Christmas holiday at noon on Thursday, the 24th, and all day Friday, the 25th. And the Board of Selectmen are scheduled to meet next on Monday, December 28th, 6 p.m. remotely.
Excellent, thank you. David, I see you have noted an upcoming community event.
Provided everybody's still good with it, and we'll talk about this a little later. There is a drive-through flu vaccination clinic at the Lincolnville Fire Station to be held on Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Yep.
I will tell you that, well, I guess I'll wait till we get down to agenda item 8.
Yeah, and we will we'll touch on this more further on down in the agenda. And also another reminder, we'll bang on this drum again, is voting. Vote tomorrow, 8 to 8. Any other community events anyone wishes to share? Seeing nothing, let's move along to the meeting minutes from November 23rd.
I move the board approve the November 23rd, 2020 meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. The motion passes. Thank you all. And we have a new application for a liquor license for the Whale's Tooth Pub, and we are to have a public hearing. So I will entertain a motion, please.
I move that the board open a public hearing concerning the liquor license application being sought by Whale Tooth Ventures LLC, doing business as the Whale's Tooth Pub and Restaurant.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Garrettson, seconded by Selectman Ray. Was that you, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Dave raised his hand there.
Now it's for after you vote, sorry.
Yes.
Selectman Late, yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. The public hearing is open. David, you had a comment?
I'll bring over the soon-to-be owner of the Whale's Tooth Pub momentarily, if I can click on this thing properly. And there may be some others out there that wish to speak, and if they do, you can use the little raise your hand feature or type something in the chat, which should be at the bottom of your screen, and I'll alert the chair that somebody wants to talk.
Yep. So now would be the opportunity for welcome.
Hello.
So right now we are in the public hearing section of this agenda item. And so if there is any member of the public that wishes to ask the board or the applicants any questions, they're welcome to do so at this time. Is anyone seeing anything flooding in or anyone jumping up and down that I'm missing?
I don't see it.
If there is no questions or comments from the public, I will entertain a motion.
I move that the board close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Ray. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. The public hearing is now closed. And we should say hello and welcome. Thank you for popping in here this evening.
Thank you. I'm Martha Nickerson. This is my husband, Chris Nickerson. I'm excited to be in the beautiful town of Lincolnville, Maine, and we are actually looking forward to being part of this community, this great community, and contributing to the community as a business and as an individual.
Yep, and I'm Chris Nickerson. Nice to see everyone. And first, I'd like to thank the Newcombs for their kind hospitality as we work on this tradition to transition together. It's been a wonderful partnership. And as you know, Rob and Dorothy have successfully operated and nurtured Wales Tooth over the last 25 years. And it's through their dedication and hard work that offers the next generation of caretakers the opportunity to carry on the timeless traditions of excellent food service and pub camaraderie, all on the stunning Penobscot Bay. And so Martha and I, as she said, we're really looking forward to as well being really contributing members of the community. And as we move past this COVID pandemic, looking forward to meeting with each of you in person, becoming more connected as a community. And in the meantime, Martha and I would like to wish everyone a happy and healthy holiday season.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you. very much.
Thank you.
And we wish you the best of luck, and we will hopefully see you in person at some point. And so if there's no comment from the board, I'll entertain a motion, please.
I move that after having held a public hearing, that the board grant the liquor license requested by Wales Tooth Ventures LLC, doing business as the Wales Tooth Pub and Restaurant.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, the motion passes. Thank you both very much. Congratulations. We wish you luck, and we'll set you free.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a great
Good night.
evening.
Thank you.
All right, having dispensed with that agenda item, let's move along. We have an update from the committee chair, the broadband committee.
Hi, everyone. Well, I'm going to start by just sharing my screen so people out there in the ether can see what we are talking about. Let me just bring this up. Okay, so here is the report to the Board of Selectmen from the Lincolnville Broadband Committee. I'm going to first just start by talking about charge. So December 23rd of last year, the Board of Selectmen issued a charge establishing the creation of the Broadband Committee. There were 9 tasks assigned to the Broadband Committee. The last one was to make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen as to what course of action the committee believes is in the best interest of the town as a whole. And a summary of the work to date. we learned, as we all know, that there's a growing recognition that high-speed internet has become an essential service. And right now there are no less than a dozen towns and cities actively engaged in upgrading their internet networks. A few examples that we research are Islesboro, Belfast, Camden Rockport, Calais, Baileyville, and Sebago Island. Funding for towns in Maine to pursue improvements is being sought from public and private sources. There's funding now available for preparatory work, approximately $15,000 grants from Connect Maine, as well as the Island Institute. And municipal broadband efforts have included public-private partnerships, most often with bank debt providing the bulk of the construction capital, secured either by municipal bonds or a dedicated revenue stream. Number three, incumbent internet service providers have not often been eager to become involved in the community efforts to improve connectivity. Since incumbents are usually for-profit companies, universal access to high-speed internet may not be sufficiently attractive financially in order to provide them with the returns they must deliver to owners and shareholders. In contrast, municipal systems willing to offer such universal access have arisen based on the availability of lower costs and longer-term financing. And so here I'm going to go a little out of order, and I want to just jump into the survey that we conducted. So the broadband access survey was written by our committee in the summer of 2020, and we went live with this on Google Forms on August 4th. The survey was active until November 8th. We got 359 responses. 313 were submitted using the online form and 46 in written form. Below are the results that were collected from the survey. And what's great about Google Forms is that you collect the data and it just spits out these graphs in real time. And there's no ability to delete individual responses. You could either delete the whole thing or see all the data as a whole, which makes it tamper-proof in that sense. So first question was just to see if people were a resident of Lincolnville. We wanted to make sure that residents of Northport, Belfast, Camden, Rockport weren't accidentally filling out this form. Then we asked if they're full-time or part-time. We had 87.8% full-time, 12.2% as part-time. We asked the basic question of, is access to the internet important to you? And 98.6%, unsurprisingly, said yes. We asked, who is your current internet provider? 81.1% said Lincolnville Telephone Company, and very small percentages said other providers. What kind of internet service do you have? 35% said DSL and 47% said fiber optic. And then there is a purple slice that said use only cell phone data. And then lots of other responses that were written in that don't really pop up here. What do you currently pay for your internet service? It is a wide mix ranging from 30 a month all the way to 90. Now, the more interesting questions to me start here. Are you satisfied with the internet service currently you have at your home? 70.2% said no. 29.8% said yes. If not, why not? 65.2% said slow speeds. 45.7% said not reliable. 63.3% said high cost, and 23.8% said poor customer service. Does anyone in your household use the internet to work from home? Full-time, 25.4%. Several times a week, 24.2%. Occasionally, 28.2%. And no, 22.3%. While the pandemic is terrible, the timing actually of the survey, I think, was good in the sense that now more than ever, we're seeing how important broadband is. And so this survey happened during COVID. So all of these results are being collected really in the heat of all of that we're going through. Do you have students in your home who use the internet for school? 63.3% said no, and 36.7% said yes. And I'm not going to read all these, but does your internet speed negatively impact working from home, online education? And it goes on. You can see it right on the screen. And how much would you be willing to spend a month for faster internet service? And we have a whole range, as you can see. Do you have access to fiber optic internet but choose not to subscribe to it? 84.9% said no, and 15.1% said yes. And then we asked, if yes, why do you choose not to? And we just included all the answers in the order that we received them in whole, so people can just read through those. There's a bunch, so I'm not gonna go through them all. We asked, do you have any suggestions for expanding fiber optic access in Lincolnville? And we got over 100 responses here. A wide range. I don't know if there's any good way to characterize it as a whole, because it did run the gamut. I think the best thing for people to do is just to read them all, because I think there's a lot of great responses here that sort of give you a feel for what the town is feeling. And then the final question was, do you have any general comments? And again, we got, let's see, we got 174 responses to that one. Okay, so with the survey results covered, I'm going to go back to the beginning of the report to our summary of options and recommendations going forward. Why don't I stop and just ask if there's any questions from the board so far? I've been going on for a while.
Hey, Josh, I've got one and I've been trying to find where I read it. There was one response that said the way the survey was written, that it was written to promote negative response.
Yep.
What's your take on that? And I'm sure you did read that, and I'm sorry I didn't mark it. I'm rifling through it to find it right now so that I can quote it, but I'm not having much luck with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to think of it. I think the survey,
and
frankly,
I don't mean to interrupt, but I found it myself before I read that. I found it odd that all we had was negative. There was no positive.
there were positive ones, but they were not. They were more negative than positive.
Yeah.
Certainly. And yeah, tuning into our meetings, we talk about LCI a lot because, frankly, they're the service provider for the vast majority of. Hold on, let me just cancel the screen sharing for now, so I can just look at you guys. They're the dominant provider here, and so we heard a lot from residents of issues they had, and I guess that a takeaway from that could be that that we had a certain opinion about LCI. But what I like about the survey is we don't ask about LCI. We don't ask about municipal broadband. We just ask these basic questions that we all talked about, and I think from that it's a pretty fair survey. Okay, let me go back to screen sharing. Okay, so the recommendations for going forward. Options: available alternatives for providing high-speed broadband connectivity. Number one, do nothing. LSI has said that it will finish laying cable in 4 years. There's no guarantee that they will indeed do this or that it will be completed in that time. Nor can we be certain that all Lincolnville residents will have affordable access, the customer service and technical support will improve, or that the speeds will be reliable and sufficient for future needs. Option two, assist LCI in their project by helping to get them grant money to lower their costs, and by doing so, get a commitment that the project has begun and completed by an agreed upon date. By working together, the town could try to negotiate the cost to residents, commitment to support and service, minimum speeds, and other services. LCI has recently received funding assistance through the CARES Act, which allows them to lay fiber to an estimated 85 Lincolnville homes by year's end. And that's for homes with students, Lincolnville students. Because this is ongoing, LCI is not able to provide a mileage figure or percent increase in broadband access. And then option 3 is further investigate the feasibility of a town-supported or owned fiber optic infrastructure that would be made available to every Lincolnville resident and business at an affordable cost. Among the alternatives for such a plan, the town of Lincolnville or a related entity might own the dark fiber on which qualified internet service providers would provide reliable, universal, and state-of-the-art broadband. Based on our research to date, this has been an increasingly common method for smaller communities in Maine to secure fiber optic broadband, either independently or in conjunction with neighboring communities. Option 3 is the recommendation of the committee. Our recommendations based on option 3 are accomplishing the task described above will require an intensive and continuing effort, which we recommend be carried out by the establishment of a long-term committee of the Lincolnville Board of Selectmen to carry on the preliminary work already undertaken by the Broadband Committee. We recommend the town of Lincolnville appropriate $5,000 toward the cost of an outside consultant to work with the Broadband Committee in its feasibility analysis. It's recommended that the Broadband Committee also explore possible grants and other options for the balance of a possible follow-up consultant contract, which is expected to range between $10,000 to $20,000. The charge of the quote new Broadband Committee might be to explore the economic and structural feasibility of providing municipally financed state-of-the-art broadband internet service to all residents desiring such service at a competitive price and superior quality to that currently available from incumbent providers. And then I don't have to, so it goes on, A, B, and C. Let's see, let me just think if there's anything else worth covering here. I don't want to go on forever. We have all the minutes. Oh, you know what? Let me just go over one more thing so folks get a sense of what we were doing for 9 months. So in February, we elected, okay, that's boring. We elected officers and we started the committee. March 12th, we discussed information that the committee wanted from LCI, including their 4-year and 2-year plans, the list of homes on having broadband in Lincolnville, et cetera, et cetera. We discussed questions that we had for Islesboro. May 14th, we met with Alan Hinsey from LCI. He shared a PowerPoint presentation that had been used that he shared with us last year. May 28th, we met with 2 people from Islesboro to discuss their municipal broadband operation. June 23rd, we met with Brian of Casco Bay Advisors. He's an internet consultant who works with towns. In July, we reviewed the initial response to the survey. And on September, we met with Deborah Hall, the chair of the Camden Rockport Broadband Task Force, and discussed the possibility of what it will look like for other towns to connect with Camden and in Rockport to develop a dark fiber capacity. In September, we met with a member of the Belfast Broadband Committee, and in October, we met with John Doherty of Mission Broadband. And so I mention all these activities to just say that we spoke with really all the major players in Maine regarding broadband, regarding improving access and expanding broadband in municipalities. And all of those meetings are on YouTube, part of the town of Lincolnville's YouTube channel. It's well worth diving in to just get an idea of their knowledge. There was a lot of information in every meeting. And so that's sort of, we draw from that information and the survey to make this report.
So is it fair to say that charge items 2 through 8 are on YouTube, all of those meetings? Because I was looking for support documentation for some of these meetings to come to see how you guys came to your recommendation. And it looks like, unless I'm missing some information here, and I surely could be, but it looks like all I got was agenda items for each one of your meetings. There was no support documentation like we do with our meeting minutes. I'm not necessarily looking for a verbatim report, but geez, if these people have done the research, it's great that this committee has heard it, but I'm one of your fellow selectmen and I haven't heard it. And I wasn't apprised of enough time to attend all of your meetings. So what can you say about that?
Are you
Well, I
referring
think-
to our minutes not being detailed enough? Is
I
that-
think I just got agendas, Josh. It just tells me what you guys had on the agenda to talk about, and and I got that for all of your meetings, unless the rest of the selectmen got different stuff in their packets, and that's clearly possible. But I'd like to know what Deb Hall had to say, and I kind of thought I would get at least a paraphrase of that. Being one of our neighboring towns, and what does Camden think? What's Hope doing? That type of thing. I've said before, it's going to be hard for me to get behind a municipal broadband package for a number of reasons. Cost is one, and I don't think we want to be in the broadband business, to be real honest with you. And that's just my personal opinion. But I am looking for some more, Josh, so that I can put this together in my own head.
Mike, do you want to jump in?
Yeah. Karen, yeah. I was taking the minutes on these, and the way that I take minutes, I don't paraphrase people very well, and I was kind of relying, and I just kind of put what we talked about, what we did, what we decided to do, what other people are going to do, what their commitments are, and consequently, there's a lot missing. There's definitely a lot missing there, and all I can say is I think you might be better served, rather than relying on me, to paraphrase Deb Hall, for example, to go back to that meeting
Isn't it
and
fair
see what
to
she
say?
said.
Isn't it
I'm
fair
sorry?
to say? I'm sorry. Is that me?
It happens with Zoom once in a while.
Yeah. Okay. Isn't it fair to say that for a group of people to make an educated decision, that they have the facts in front of them? I mean, I'd really like to see some of that stuff, and I thought I was going to be able to pick that right out of this, and it looks like I've got an agenda. Now, I know you guys had a lot going on, and I am not bashing you by any means, but I'm looking for more information.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I have a similar question, Josh, along the same lines, but different. The Board of Selectmen issued 9 specific charges, and I read through the report several times, and I've watched your meetings, which were chock full of all kinds of juicy nuggets of information about the variety of programs and services and studies that are happening around the state, which I think is so great that you all took the time to really cast a wide net there. And certainly, you nailed charge number 1. That's very clear. Charge number 2, charge number 3, I was less clear. I guess I could see how
I just brought it up on the screen so we can see it.
in the results of the survey that those who participated in the survey gave their impressions of this. But I don't see in the report where that is specifically addressed. Furthermore, I don't see, or I missed, and please call it out to me if any of these I just missed somewhere in the content of the report. I believe we did discuss in meetings and the backing and forth between yourself as the committee chair for the broadband committee and the select board, but I'm looking for number 5 and where that is specifically called out in the report. I'm looking for number 6 and how that is addressed in the report. Number 7, number 8. I kind of feel like we jumped from the very nascent charges all the way to number 9, missing kind of the nut of where we are currently and the mechanisms that we have to employ to explore this further.
Sure. Well, I would first say that I want to thank LCI because they sent us a lot of great data. They send us a very comprehensive list of the roads that let's see, that have DSL, that have access to fiber optic, but aren't using it and have fiber optic. And it's throughout the whole town. You know, it's not like one big portion of Lincolnville is completely unserved, but another one isn't. It's kind of spread out through the whole community. And you know, a lot of these charges, we feel that we really need to hire a consultant and spend $5,000 to explore it more. You know, we're not advocating to go out and spend $4 million tomorrow to build a municipal broadband system. We're advocating to have an expert look at it, and they may come back and say, you know, Lincolnville, it makes no sense for you guys to build that. You should work with LCI, or you should do option C, D, F. So again, we're not advocating to go out and spend that money. We're saying let's first meet with an expert and see what they have to say. Let me look at this, the list of charges.
I absolutely hear you on that one. I guess I like Kern said, you know, I am reluctant to beat up on a really good volunteer effort, but this could potentially be an expensive and long-term commitment that the town enters into. And so I just, you know, when the select board offers very specific charges like this to a committee, I feel like I need, in order to make the decisions that I need to make, at least some acknowledgement of each charge, and either where you got to with it, supporting documents for it, or why you feel like you need to step off somewhere else. But thank you for verbalizing the why of your recommendation.
And let me just say that, you know, we were really trying to draw from what the town wanted. You know, we truly let the survey results guide us in terms of what we were
based
saying.
on the respondents. What was the total number of respondents? Just under 400?
300, no, hold on, 359. You know, so that's what a roughly 15% response rate, and I'd say that's pretty good. Obviously, you know, in terms of scientific sampling, it's not scientific at all. It's whoever responded and who got the link. But I think it is gives us a good sense. And I guess at this point, I'll just speak for myself and say that, I mean, personally, I don't think we should dismiss the idea of a town-owned broadband system out of hand simply because it's going to be very expensive. I look at how much money Lincolnville residents pay for broadband now, and I'm one of them, and it's I don't know, I pay $104 a month, and I do 20 up, 20 down, and in most of the United States, that's considered a terrible deal. That's considered very, very slow internet service for $105 a month. And I'm not an expert on this, but just let's say everyone in Lincolnville had fiber optic, and to be fair to LCI, let's say they were paying I think it's $70 a month for their broadband now if you signed up today, which is I think 50 up, 10 down. And multiply that by the number of people over 20 years. Okay, so you have that. Or we put the money in, or we, you know, to build out a municipal system, or it was funded through a bond, or through a loan rather, that was paid by subscriptions. That number could be less than everyone in Lincolnville paying LCI for 20 years. But I had no idea. I'm not an expert. We haven't done a study. But it's something to at least explore. And if the number is there's no way a municipal system could ever save the taxpayers money in 20 years, then we shouldn't build a system like that. But if it says actually it would save Lincolnville residents X number of dollars, at least we'll know that. And at least we'll have that information to make a more informed decision going forward. I hate the idea that we're not in control of our own destiny. That we know broadband, we all know with the pandemic that broadband is so essential. And in the comments, a number of them mentioned property values. And now more than ever, if you're gonna move your family somewhere and you can choose where you're going to move, are you gonna choose a place that may not have good broadband or have broadband that you think is too expensive? It's something that really is gonna be weighed. And a place like Camden, and I just mentioned them because my parents live there and they have Spectrum, and it's a fraction of the price and it's much faster. And that's actually cable, I think. And I think that's because there's competition there, or if it's just Spectrum happens to be there. But it's in Lincolnville, we don't have those options. And the only way we'll get them, I think, is putting in dark fiber that we own and leasing it to companies and owning the pipes for the benefit of the taxpayers. You know, a lot of people in the comments also mentioned that fiber optic ran down their streets, but it was cost prohibitive for them to pay to run it to their homes. They were quoted numbers of thousands of dollars, and that just was beyond reach to them. And I think that I'm going to quote something really cheesy: "A rising tide lifts all boats." And I think that the town as a whole would be better off if we paid for, in some capacity, getting fiber to everyone's home. I think property values would go up. I think that it would end up being cheaper, but that's based on absolutely nothing until we have a study done by an expert. So take that with a grain of salt.
So I just want to clarify, I don't want to take municipal broadband off the table, but in order for me to get behind it, I need some data in front of me.
Okay.
One of the other things that was that I was looking for was where in the town there is a grant available that I think, and I'm sure somebody's going to correct me because I'm probably going to be wrong, but there is a grant out there that was announced that Lincolnville Telephone or Tidewater is going to reap the benefits of to expand the fiber optic service in both Hope and Lincolnville to all underserved student households.
Yeah.
I was looking to see how that would affect our town. I don't see anything about that in this report, and that came out. Geez, that was a month and a half ago that came out, or information of that came out.
Yeah.
So
I can speak to that. Like,
Thank you. Yeah, we mentioned it on page 3, but yeah, do you want to?
yeah, Kern, I after that came out, I spoke with some people at LCI and asked them specifically what percentage coverage and where these new lines were going to go. And the answer was because it was ongoing and in an engineering stage, as it were, construction stage, he couldn't really say he couldn't give me a number at that time. He said, maybe I'll be able to give you one in the middle of December or something to that effect. And I point that out. That's pointed out in option number 2, I think. Oh, whatever. Yeah. Josh has it highlighted there. Yeah.
it is in number 2, but I was looking to see actually how many houses it affects.
And I couldn't get that. I'm sorry. And we couldn't get that number because they're in the middle of building it, I guess.
Well, David,
I can, and then I'm going to tag David, but they identified 85 households. And due to privacy rights, there's, very specific ways that outreach can be done. But it is my understanding that they've done some pretty thorough outreach, and at least in alerting these households that this is an opportunity. And correct me if I'm wrong, David, but as of last week, wasn't it of the 85, there were about just over 30 that signed up?
Well, I get to correct you because you're wrong. Yeah, it was it was a couple weeks ago, and this is the grant work. The grant became available, and the grant work and the deadlines. I won't say it's a moving target because they only have till year end to complete, is my understanding. But it's moving. Every time you get data, it changes within a day or two because more people are becoming aware and signing up. But we're now December 14th, and if the work is supposed to be done by the end of the year, they've got to be getting, engineering's got to be pretty close to being done because they've only got 2 weeks left to install, so to speak.
Wow.
With a holiday in there. I would think that we could get somebody from LCI to give the board either a written update or maybe even attend a meeting if that's of desire to the board to say, here's where we were, here's where we're going to be year end, or here's where we are at year end. If that's of interest. I know that every time I spoke with Alan or Randall, they were like, well, yesterday we were here and today we're here and tomorrow we don't know who's calling and where we're going. So
At the very least, it would be an addendum to the report that would speak towards charge number 3 that the board gave the committee.
Yeah, and the other part that I think is also important to know is if I'm going to use this as an example, and I'm just going to pick on the Green Acre Road because it's just up the road from me. I don't know how far fiber went or broadband service went on that road, or maybe it already went to the end. But if we were fortuitous enough to have a student at the end of that road or, underserved area, and that student's family or household decided they wanted to take advantage of the program, my understanding, and believe me, I'm not a fiber expert at all, my understanding is that they were going to run ample fiber up the road to service all the houses along the way, if those houses along the way wish to choose to access it at some point in the future. They weren't going to be able to make it go live for every house along the way before the end of the year, but the engineering and planning and actual construction of the main line, or however you want to call it, would service that. But I'm not the right person to speak on fiber or broadband because
thank you, David. That's what I was getting at with that particular situation. That's advantageous for the town to know, because of a decision that we might potentially make pertaining to this report. So that's just information that I'm looking for. There's other stuff too, and I guess I'm going to have to sit down and do a night, maybe 2, maybe 3 of YouTube.
It's worth it. It's thrilling.
Just to see some of that. And again, you guys did a lot of work, and don't take this personal. I'm just looking, in order for me to make a decision, I've got to have some information that I can base that on for this town. That's all.
Okay. And please, Kurt, if you have specific questions, let us know, and we'll try and get that to you.
Obviously, our focus is this town, but we have a secondary focus is we've got a school that is struggling to educate. And if we can get these kids connectivity, that's huge. It is huge. That's on my mind a lot. There's a lot of people that I've talked to that are just struggling. They can't communicate with the school. So I don't know which end that's on. I do know a lot of it is, no service. So,
Okay.
or inadequate service.
And that's why this grant, this CARES Act grant is incredible. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a great thing for Lincolnville and for those estimated 85 homes. So I'm glad we have that coming.
Well, and yeah, and not to make, not to distill the conversation down to LCI or municipal broadband, because it certainly isn't that, but I guess I put my, bureaucrat hat on when I keep going back to the charge, and the charge that we as a board gave the committee, set forth a lot of questions. And I know I hear you, Josh, when you say we need a consultant to answer a lot of them, but then I guess I have questions with procedurally. Again, the bureaucratic aspect of it is the proposal is to hire a consultant to work with a newly created committee in a feasibility analysis. And so I know the committee has outlined in the report a proposed milepost going forward.
Mm-hmm. Here, 1 second. I can bring it up if that's helpful.
Sure. And I'm missing a few steps in between where we sit here and what the recommendation by the committee is, where we're going to get the $5,000. Is your proposal, and I may have missed this in the report, but is it to have the broadband committee make a proposal to the board and the budget committee to have a new line to raise and appropriate $5,000 specifically to be used in next year's budget?
Yes,
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I apologize for that not being super clear. Let's see. Okay, so on this page, attachment 4, by the end of Q2 2021, requested formal approval of $5,000.
Yeah.
I guess that really should say by the end of this year or by the beginning of next year.
Yeah,
That's how the budget process works, of course.
I wanted to make sure that we were operating on the same quarters or the same assumptions of the same timeline.
Yeah, and of course, we just put this together on our own without any input. It's just a basic idea of what a work plan could look like. Feel free to throw it out and start fresh. But it was just a way to give an idea of how it could look.
Well, and certainly I heard from a number of I say a number, you only interviewed a number or had to your meetings a number, but a quantity of the experts that you had come and speak to your group certainly implied that a lot of the work that you have done, the committee, when I say you, I mean the committee, has done as a group is made long strides towards what a consultant or an expert in the field would be looking to do anyway. So that's, it's certainly not labor lost in that direction for sure.
Yeah.
I guess so you want to propose 5,000 new dollars to be put in next year's budget. And is there a contingency? Like what if, I guess I see the total cost being upwards of $20,000. So if we fail to secure a grant towards that, then what? If we have this $5,000 or we pay out this $5,000 and then we're in a scenario where we can't, I'm just wondering, is there a way of leveraging that $5,000 to the best of our ability that doesn't sort of buy us a package that we can't ultimately deliver?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. Mike, do you recall what the consultant said regarding that?
The way I remember, Josh, was that the consultants would ask for, so skin in the game, as it were. And to show that the town is invested in wanting to find out whatever the consultant is going to propose, whatever options they propose. And so they want skin in the game to the tune of $5,000. And then with that $5,000, the consultant will seek out matching grants. And to the tune of 15 to 20 grand. And so our investment would be a third to a quarter of what it might cost. And there could be a second round of, as I remember, a second round of grants that would be necessary for the completion of the project, the engineering stage. That is on the consultant to secure that, and a committee, if we decide to create one, to explore that option as well. But the five grand is just to get started.
So that's to get started, and then it's $20,000 to get to the first stage. And I was taking notes, which I have misplaced.
Sure. Yeah.
From your consultants, but I was trying to add up all of the dollar figures of basically what a consultant all in would be. And so it's roughly kind of $5,000 a stage. Is that correct? Did I understand that correctly from a couple of the consultants that you met with?
What we've learned is that there are a couple agencies that give grants for planning. And one of them is Connect Maine, the other is Island Institute, and I'm sure there are a couple more out there someplace. And in all of those that we learned about, they require some seed money. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. And so for a consultant to get that $15,000 grant, for example, from Connect Maine or Island Institute or something like that, they would have to put up 5. And then there may be, like I said, another round of where the planning indicates that we need another consultant, an engineering person or something to that, somebody with
But keep in mind that before we took that engineering step, we would have information about, where should the town go with this?
Oh.
And so it would only be after if we agreed, we actually want to explore dark fiber that's owned by the town, or, then we would spend that money for the engineering phase. That we would only, but that would come later.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And is the $5,000, does that work towards, is there a matching equivalent, or is it just basically some seed money, Mike, as you called it?
No, the way I remembered it, it can go either way. It could be matching or it could be seed. I mean, they could say, well, we would like for you to demonstrate that you're, a third in, okay, and you are committed at least to a 30% or 33% level, and here's another 15 or something to that effect. Or it could be a matching one. I'm sure would all be negotiated, but that's why you have a consultant to find out those things. We didn't try to lock ourselves into any financing arrangement in any way.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess I had a lot of questions that came up in watching your meetings that I was anticipating seeing in the report, and I keep beating on that point, but
Sure.
you mentioned a number of you met with a couple of representatives from neighboring communities, and then you mentioned in your report a few different municipalities that are at various stages of research, and I was really hoping to see kind of a comparative timeline and financial breakdown for those projects, just both in terms of what they're outlaying for cash in the initial stages, whether they hired a consultant or not, and then what the planning and then the actual execution stages look like, just so I can have in my head. And I gleaned from your meetings that, you know, we could be looking at upwards of 6 months in terms of the research and development stage. But then I heard numbers like, you know, 3 to 5 years, X number of millions of dollars. And I'm like, wow, it would be really handy to see this as a comparison of where everybody's at, you know, to just have some sort of, you know, where we fall in the elevation.
So what's challenging is there's two things working against having a good comparison. The first one is what Islesboro did, what Baileyville, Calais did, were in the past, when it was much harder to just figure this stuff out and to have buy-in that this was even a good idea. And so it just took them a lot. Well, Islesboro, I think, was the first one in the state. It just took them a lot longer to do the research and figure it out, how you even piece this together. For Calais and Baileyville, I think they went online this summer. And so for them, it was much easier. And so from now on, every town trying this or planning this in the future, it'll be that much easier because it's been done. That ground has been broken. The second thing is that every town is different. The geography is different. And so it's hard to do an apples to apples in that sense. I would say Camden and Rockport are probably comparable. So like if one of them started this beforehand, then the other one could learn from them. But we're so different than them geographically, or at Islesboro or whoever.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that. Yeah, I definitely hear that. I guess I get nervous when, you know, early on in these conversations, I heard the number, oh, well, people are only paying $30 a month. And that's just patently untrue when there's also a tax levy that's happening twice a year, once a year.
Absolutely. Yeah.
However, and so that's, you know, we as a board would be remiss to not look at the whole big picture timeline and big picture dollar figures.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I hear you lately. The numbers are very slippery in a lot of ways, you know, but what this committee did, it may have taken us 9 months, but to basically come down to quote Donald Rumsfeld, to know what we don't know, and to find out that we're just a bunch of lay people here, and we're not experts who can make decisions. I'm not talking about the board, because I'm talking about the broadband committee lay people. And we need somebody has experience in this to look into it, just the feasibility of it all. And as Josh said, they could come back and say, you guys don't want to do this municipal pie in the sky thing. That's silly for Lincolnville. But at least then we would know that. It's all speculation right now with slippery numbers. The worst kind. Yeah.
Karen, do you have any follow-up questions, or David, do you have any comments?
I don't right now. I've just been going through this again, and I guess I've got to listen to some of the YouTube videos. It is interesting. $5,000 just to show interest. I guess everything's that way. I do get it though. I just so they're an expert representing our town. What we're looking for is to find out whether it's even right for the town of Lincolnville to do this, or if it is right, how to move forward. I find it hard to believe that it's only going to cost us $5,000 to find that out, and then we spend more money to develop it. Is that how you understood that?
Mhm.
As a committee?
There are there are improving broadband access is big these days. And there are, I mean, there's the state bond, the $15 million state bond was just passed. And for Connect Maine, Island Institute is trying very hard. They have a lot of money available. And so there's grant money available. It just costs money to get it.
I would say if the board is even curious about exploring this, we could invite one of those consultants to our meeting and they could just talk to us and we
Sure.
could ask them all these questions because they would know more than we do. We met with them months ago, so there's a chance that we're not remembering it perfectly.
The YouTube videos are fascinating and informative for sure. Long.
We go on for a while.
There's a lot of information in there for sure.
Yeah, Kurt, I wish you the best going through them, Kurt. Like, you might want to untie your shoes before you get started, you know?
Well, at least you wish me the best. I don't usually get that, so that's good. I appreciate it.
So, Josh or Mike, final thoughts on this from the committee's perspective, or as the board?
Well, I would just kind of like to point out, if you go back and read through the report, just you might want to look out for all the number of phrases in there that suggest possibility, like this is a possibility. And we aren't we aren't prescribing anything. We're not saying go broadband or go municipal or go home or anything like that. We're just saying there are a lot of ways that you can look at this. We're not capable of looking at it beyond what we have. It's going to cost us some money. It's going to cost the town money to figure this out. $5,000 to explore it further, just to take it to the next stage of inquiry. That's all.
I see there's a chat. Where does one get the report? And that's a great segue. I would love it if we could put this on a link to the report on the town homepage, so people could see what the town what the town's thoughts were in the survey and whatnot.
Makes sense.
I guess I'll just leave the board with. There's a lot of people in Lincolnville that are not happy with the internet. And I feel like we need to at least explore what could be a better way for us.
There was another part of the comments, and I don't know if you noticed it, but probably you did. A lot of the negative comments could be a direct relation to or directly related to customer service. And
that comes up a lot.
Yeah, it does. And, I think we talked about that maybe at a couple of meetings. And, I wonder, and I'm not saying that there isn't signal strength problems. I've lived that myself here until we were able to get fiber optic. And I just wonder if LCI is identifying the need to, look at their customer service, starting right at the initial phone call. Not my deal. I wouldn't want someone to tell me what to do when I answer the phone, but I know I have experienced that as well. But I also experienced some very good customer service by someone who knew exactly what they were doing. So there's a huge benefit to that. And I just wonder how much of our survey was actually brought from a bad experience. They really just got somebody who was there to answer a phone. You know what I mean? I don't even know another way to say that. I could brutally say it, but that's not the right thing to do. Just saying. I looking at those, maybe 10% customer service problems, maybe. that doesn't take away the signal problems at all. But I know I had signal problems and connectivity problems and this and that. And within 10 minutes, I was up and running and I had what I was paying for. So, I think a lot of it has to do with knowing what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say, and I don't want to be the last thing I say on this, but I think it's fair to say that at least collecting a lot of the data, one, when I said we are lay people, we're not experts in survey design and polling. And but two, a lot of the information is anecdotal. This is a widespread, very rural area in which a lot of people have very, very, very different experiences with customer service, with signal strength, accessibility, cost of installation, things like that. So it's in a way it's kind of hard to pin down a lot of it. At least perhaps we didn't pin it down as well as we completely, certainly. Yeah.
I was actually hoping before COVID hit, when the committee was formed, I love the idea of knocking on every door and getting responses, and that I think that really would have been possible pre-COVID. That wasn't a good idea afterwards.
Yeah. Okay, well, if there's nothing else on this right now, thank you all for your input. Thank you for the report. And we'll all keep educating ourselves.
Okay.
All right, David, you hinted at this earlier, but we did have a Penn Bay run flu clinic last week, correct?
Yes, last Wednesday, Waldo County General Hospital and Penobscot Bay Medical Center ran a drive-through flu clinic at the center fire station. And they asked to do that after your last regular meeting, and they wanted to run it before this meeting. So I gave them the go-ahead after talking with the fire chief and getting input from the EMA director, who didn't see a problem, and turns out it went rather smoothly. I would say I would manage to go over myself and get the flu shot I hadn't been able to get earlier in the year. Very well organized. I was in and out, paperwork filled out, shot, a Band-Aid, and away I went in less than 5 minutes.
Wow.
And they are scheduled again for this Wednesday from 11 to 4. Trying to get the various times of the day. The first time it was 9 to 1. They wanted to do it different in case somebody worked, early shift or late. So hopefully, board didn't mind me giving them the go ahead without talking to you, and two, hopefully everybody's all set to do it again on Wednesday of this week.
Any thoughts or comments from the board?
Yeah, something just occurred to me, Dave. Have you heard anything about Penn Bay Medical Center saying that it might not be held because of vaccine distribution? Anything along those lines?
In terms of the flu clinic, no, I have
Yeah.
not. I haven't heard anything from them regarding changing their plan.
Okay, that's just curious. Thanks.
Yeah.
Great. Well,
I'm just glad to hear it went really well.
Yeah, I was concerned that there might be a line out to the road or beyond, and I think it went so quickly they could get a couple of different cars into the bay at a time, and they had a pretty good chain going in terms of when you first got in there getting the paperwork, and it was one side of one piece of paper, mostly contact information, and then obviously the COVID questions that we're all kind of familiar with, just so they knew, they weren't exposing their workers to anything, and in and out, gone very quickly, very prompt, very professional service.
great. Well, thank you for that update. Karen, anything?
I have nothing.
All right, great. Thank you all. Let's move along to agenda item number 9, appointment of registrar of voters.
I move that the board reappoint Karen Seacott as registrar of voters for a 2-year term or until a successor is appointed and sworn.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. The motion passes. Thank you, Karen. And we have a harbor workshop follow-up. David, would you care to talk on this?
Sure. Well, last, no, 2 Mondays ago now, or time flies, the board had a workshop with the Harbor Committee. The Harbor Committee is charged by the Harbor Ordinance to do certain things annually, or at least annually. One of which is they're supposed to make a recommendation in the month of November regarding the harbor fees to the board. They made a recommendation that the 2021 harbor fees be 2020s increased by 5% across the board and then rounded to $1, so we didn't end up collecting pennies. And so you have in your packet the 2020 fee schedule and then a updated recommended or recommended, interesting, harbor fee schedule with their recommendations. And the board is charged by the Harbor Ordinance to actually set those at some point in the month of December so that staff can send out renewal notices in early January. So it kind of all's falling into place. We also included some harbor fees from some other communities, just so you, Searsport, Camden, Rockport, and Belfast, I think is put in here, so that you'd have some idea what others are charging, just to have some knowledge. They aren't directly necessarily applicable. Each facility has different amenities that they offer, but it at least puts you out there in the world so you know that you're not on an island, so to speak.
Thoughts from the board on this, or I will entertain a motion.
I move that the board adopt the Harbor Committee recommended fee schedule for 2021.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Garrettson. Who got that second? There
That was
was a
Kern, I think.
Sorry, Karen.
seconded by Selectman Late. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Motion passes.
The next item was to review, revise, and approve a list of qualified mooring inspectors. This too is set forth in the harbor ordinance that the harbor master is supposed to provide a list of recommended recommended mooring inspectors to the board for their to review, revise as they deem appropriate, and approve a list. Again, by the end of the year, because we send that list out to mooring holders with their renewal application. The board also asked the Harbor Committee to chime in on what constituted a qualified mooring inspector. I think everyone you talk to has a differing opinion as to what makes somebody qualified. And it's all in your laps now, I guess. I'll talk about my recommendation if you want it, but I'll stop.
Questions or comments from the board? I feel like you made it fairly clear, David. Thank you.
Right.
If there's no conversation there, I will entertain a motion.
Move the board adopt the Harbor Committee recommended fee schedule for 2021.
Already did that.
Oh,
Next one.
Okay. I move the board approve the harbor master's recommended list of qualified mooring inspectors for the year 2021.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Ray. Is there further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Motion passes. Thank you very much. And last, David?
The board had, am I muted, right? Yep. The board had some discussion with the harbor committee about the pier and float usage plan. That is supposed to be looked at by the harbor committee annually, and then the harbor master is supposed to maintain a drawing and then supposed to submit it to the Board of Selectmen for review and approval by July 1. That has not been done in recent years, to my knowledge. I ought to know. And so I just included what we had, the last approved plan that I could find. And then my thought was to actually get back on the cycle of following the ordinance and getting this approved by July 1 of each year. But some of the things that are called out in the ordinance aren't on this plan. Basically things like numbering or actually saying who's assigned to bait box space. But it's hard to do when everybody's bait box expires here in 2 more weeks, and then we're going to do it all again. But I thought since we talked about it at the meeting or at the workshop, I thought at least ought to put it under your noses one more time.
That makes sense. Any thoughts from the board?
David, have you ever heard complaints about the pier and flow usage plan and how people may think it should be changed?
I've had comments about the usage. I think in terms of tie-ups, short-term loading, unloading, not quite so much, except for, if you look at that plan, float C, which is in the middle on the north side of the pier.
But so the public can see.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
helpful.
Yeah.
Yep.
That float is primarily used by commercial interests in terms of it's right near the hoist to lift things off and easy access on and off. That, by the end of the workday, now I realize that people fish and come in at different times, but the vast majority of people that fish from Lincolnville Pier, by 5 or 6 o'clock are done and home because they've started at 4 in the morning. I've heard people say, boy, it'd be nice to tie up the, be able to tie up there and utilize a restaurant. I think we've allowed that in the past, regardless of what the plan says. I think it hasn't been an enforcement issue. We've also heard comment, I think it came up at the workshop, that they ought to be perhaps identified on the floats a little more clearly. We've replaced floats, C, D, and E have been replaced. We'll be in the process of replacing E, hopefully for springtime. And we haven't physically marked the floats themselves. So you get periodic, depends on who's had challenge, wants to do their thing, but pretty much I think it's worked pretty well, and hasn't generated a lot of comments. And people are respectful. They know that people are trying to make a living, or it's Saturday afternoon and people are coming in with a pleasure boat. And there's always going to be a little, why are you here this long? Get out of my way type of comment from whoever wants to use it next, I think. I don't know if that helps at all. I don't off the cuff. I don't have any specific recommendations that I would look to change in the short term. It seems to be working. I think we could do and will do, by the time we get reset up for spring, a little better job of identifying and reminding people of what's available for what.
And certainly there were a number of, which I anticipate the Harbor Committee reviewing before their next submission deadline, a number of, as David indicated, the omissions and whatever suggestions they may be making to us. If there's no other questions, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that the fish pier and float usage plan provided in our meeting packet remain in effect until such time as the harbor master, in accordance with the harbor ordinances, submit an updated plan for the board's review and consideration.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there further discussion? Seeing none. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Thank you very much. And moving along, David, we have in our packet a request for consideration of offering domestic partner coverage through our insurance. Could you speak to this?
Sure. You just did a great job. We had a request come to me to speak or have the ability for the board to consider the possibility of offering insurance coverage to domestic partners. We don't currently offer that. It is available through our insurer. A previous board of selectmen considered it back in 2017, and we did not make a change at that time. It's certainly available. You've got quite a packet of information that was obtained from the Health Trust regarding what is a domestic partner, Q&A on some frequently asked type questions. There are some tax implications certainly to the anybody that signs up for it. If we offer it, they have to acknowledge that there are tax implications. Basically, it becomes a taxable benefit, unlike health insurance for others is not a taxable benefit. You have the process there. There's a very specific motion that needs to be considered if the board wishes to add domestic partner coverage. It has to be verbatim based on the language they've provided. And there's also in the packet, there's some information from the Department of Health and Human Services about the domestic partner registry. You do not have to be registered. My understanding is you do not have to be registered with the Health and Human Services domestic partner registry in order to qualify for this. If the town opts to offer it, there is a affidavit that people have to sign and submit with that. There is a cost associated with this to the town of adding domestic partner coverage. It's approximately $7,300 a year per domestic partner covered. Right now, just so people know, depending on when you were hired and how you were hired. We do offer coverage that ranges from employee coverage, employee and children, to family coverage or married coverage. And if the board wants, it can certainly add domestic partner coverage. Right now, we do have, we were anticipating a life change for one of our employees this past year that would have made them qualify for family coverage. That has not occurred, but so we do have funds available. If we don't, if the board, obviously, if the board doesn't expend those funds, they will be available. They'll go into the general fund for some other purpose at some other time. But did I ramble on and on enough about that? We do have on our attendees, the finance director is there and available. If you have some questions, she knows more about the tax implications than I do because she does that type of stuff. And probably knows more about the coverage than I do because she handles most of that for us too.
I mean, hi, Kayla. Thanks for watching all this. I mean, to me, it seems like something that our deft wages and personnel policy board would be really quite useful in giving their consultation to the board if they can, as they have in the past, do sort of a broad view of it. Immediately, I don't have any reaction one way or the other, but I feel like it would be helpful to consider what other municipalities are doing in terms of packages of benefits that they offer.
I agree with that. I'd like to hear what our wage and personnel policy board has to say about that.
Yeah, I'd like the experts to chime in, as it were.
Okay, does someone wish to make a motion to that effect then?
I move that the town administrator draft for our consideration a charge to the Wage and Personnel Policy Board regarding the possibility and implications of possibly adding domestic partner coverage to our employee insurance offerings.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Garrettson, seconded by Selectman Late. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson?
Yes.
Selectman Ray?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, the motion passes. Thank you. And good luck to the Wages and Personnel Policy Board. David, you're up again. Would you care to speak on agenda item number 12?
Sure. I was contacted by the principal and the superintendent of schools regarding their collaborative planning team, which provides advice, guidance, opinion to the superintendent regarding their emergency action plan, but really their focus recently has been on COVID response at the schools. And I told them I would be happy to help out the community any way I could, but I was not going to sign up without board approval because obviously you have a few things on your plates that need to get done. In fact, they've had 2 meetings since I was invited. I attended the first and participated. And then last week I was unable to participate because I was in an ambulance or EMS study group meeting that started before the collaborative planning team and ended after they got done. So I missed the meeting. It is interesting. It obviously impacts the health and well-being of our community, but I, again, didn't want to sign up without having your blessing.
Thoughts or comments from the board?
I have a question, and maybe David has the answer for this, or maybe he doesn't. Is this collaborative planning team, or the CPT, is this something that the Lincolnville School has developed, or is this a team that is present in all of our schools in our district?
I'm not sure about the second part of that question, but I do know that, or I do believe I know that this is being encouraged, or perhaps in effect statewide. It may not be called the collaborative planning team, but the schools are encouraged not to just have, one person make all of these types of decisions. And I'll be honest, and haven't done a whole lot of research into it, but I wouldn't be surprised if some places, school committees just took on the role, and in other places they had committees such as this. It's a pretty diverse group. Includes, school nurse, the administrators, some teachers, there's custodian, food service, there's a doctor on there, and they've invited a parent is also participating on that group. And I asked whether I was being invited as the town administrator, a resident of town, or a parent, because I do, in all openness, I do have a child that attends school at Lincolnville Central School, and I was told I was being invited because I was all three. So
Good answer.
You're
Yeah.
doing,
Lucky you.
you're doing it all, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, I welcome any opportunity that this branch of the town can be of service in some way to our community. I'm wondering, has there been any conversation around our EMA director also being invited? It seems like a real logical branch of our government to bring in.
They have not asked that of me. I could ask that of them. I don't think they're limited in, I would ask Pete before I ask them, but I don't think they're necessarily limited in the number of people that they can include or would include. I note that the parent edition and my edition, I think, weren't originally on the collaborative planning team. I think they decided to expand their their group, and I don't know how my name came up, but it did. And I'd be happy to go back to the administration and said, would you, the board's either happy to have me on or not happy to have me on. But also brought up the fact that it might do us well to have our emergency management director participate.
Well, David, I've got a question. Maybe you already said it and I missed it. Before we volunteer you for this, do you feel that you have time to do this? It's a worthwhile cause. It's an important work. But how do you feel? Do you feel pressed for time?
I always feel pressed for time.
Yeah,
If I
okay.
give
Yeah,
up,
I
if
know,
I
I
give
should have
up
asked.
sleep, there's
I
enough
knew the
time in
answer.
the day. I've had a few new roles thrust upon me recently. Obviously, public health and safety has to be our number one concern.
Mhm.
And if somebody thinks that input from the town administrator will assist in that, I think it behooves us to participate. And if that means, doing something a different day, or if that means something gets slid a little bit further down the path, I think it's important enough to do and participate.
Okay, thanks.
Karen, you had a question or a comment?
Yeah, I was going to ask pretty much the same question of David that Mike did. Thank you, Mike, for asking that. I feel our EMA director should be involved with this, and I think he should work with the town administrator to forward that any and all information to us. It isn't every day that our school asks us to be involved with something, and I say that with a little frustration. I do think we should participate in this, and I better stop there.
Well, and both to Mike and Kern, your point, I feel that David, if you brought to them the suggestion of our EMA director participating, could act as, if you had obligations elsewhere, he could continue to act as our representative, or vice versa. That way we continue to both be helpful and be in the loop. So yeah, that would certainly be an ask from me. So if the board doesn't have any more questions or comments, I'd love a motion, please.
Okay, so I move to authorize the town administrator to be a member of the collaborative planning team for the Lincolnville Central School.
Second.
So moved by Selectman Ray, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson,
Yes.
Selectman Ray,
Yes.
and Selectman Dunn. My vote is yes. And thank you, David, for participating.
Thank you.
Go to it.
And it is that time of year again where we both need to review our town administrator's annual performance evaluation form and come to a consensus of when we will, as a board, get together and do that review, which means filling out the form, returning it to me so I can collate the responses, and then we can schedule a time to have the review. So thoughts from the board?
I'd like to have the document that we have done in the past couple of years. I'd like to do that, do what we've done in the past couple of years. That seems to work well, actually, for me, but I think it worked best for everybody. But I don't bring it all together either. Thank you very much lately. But that's just my personal preference. I've done performance appraisals in the past, a previous job, and those are written well.
Yeah, it's certainly, did everyone have a chance to go through it? And Mike, I know that this will be a new process for you, and tomorrow we'll have another member of our board to participate in that as well. And so I don't know if you had any questions or comments on the standing form that we've been using.
I don't, I looked through the form, and the way you've done performance evaluations before, fill it in, get it to you, right?
Yep.
Just tell me when you want them. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to throw out to the group that perhaps our first meeting in January, that if we distribute the forms in the next week or so, that will give everyone ample opportunity to put some thought into it and return it to me. I've had it returned in PDF form. I've had folks drop it off. I'm very flexible. If you want to scribble out with a pen, that's just fine with me, or a PDF version is also just fine. I would just ask, please take your time and be considerate in actually putting some thoughts down. Yeah, we've had various board members in the past be somewhat cursory with it, and this really is an opportunity for us to have an open and candid conversation with our town administrator, so we can all work together to accomplish the goals of the town. And we can't do that if, it's sort of an afterthought or there's no content within it. So that's just a request from me. So what's the thoughts on the somewhere around the first meeting of the new year?
That's when you're looking to have
the review.
to have the review. So you'd like to have that the week prior to?
As long as I generally ask it for the Friday, you know, when the packets go out, I would ask that you give me the weekend for me to digest. So if you could have the forms back to me by the 31st of December, wait, let's see, 28th, no. So have them back to me by the 8th of January. Is that correct, David? For our meeting on the 11th?
Could be. Hang on. Yeah, yes, the 11th will be your first meeting, first regularly scheduled meeting in January. Yep.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
I'm good with it.
And me too.
Okay, great. So we will get the forms out to you in the next week or so. David, you think?
Everything's after election now, but yes.
Yes, but we could email the form out in a PDF if that works for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then just get it back to me by the 8th, and then we'll do the review.
Great.
Okay, that sounds great. Anything else on that from anyone? All righty. Let's move along to Selectmen updates. Kern, do you have an update for us?
I have a Midco Solid Waste Board of Directors meeting on Wednesday evening at 6:30. We'll be discussing numerous things to include our budget for the upcoming year. That's what we're doing. I don't have any other meetings that I've been to. I've reached out and we haven't gotten together. We're meeting bi-monthly, so this will be a long meeting because we didn't meet last month. But that in doing that, that's an indication things are going fairly well down there. And we're all very proud of that. So I'll let you know our next meeting.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Josh, any updates for us besides the massive one you just gave us?
I have no additional updates.
Okay. Mike, anything for us?
No, yeah, I just want to point out that the that wood shed is up, it's built, it's stocked, and it should be doing distribution starting this weekend. We're waiting on a few quarter quart baskets to be delivered. They're on national back order or something, but they should be coming in by Saturday.
That's great. Thanks for that update.
Dave's waving.
Yes, Dave.
I didn't want to steal Selectman Ray's thunder under administrator's report and tell you the woodshed was up, so I was waiting.
Oh,
I want to say whoever found the volunteers and coordinated the volunteers that put that shed up did remarkable work. I glanced over from the office. I drove by. I tried to keep the crowd down without going over, but I was suitably impressed with the work that was done in short order. And big thanks.
It is a beast. I wish I had it in my yard.
Me too.
Yeah, and yeah, no, I mean, I asked everybody who did the work if I could just give them a shout out of thanks, and they were all too humble. But yeah, we had a lot of people who really just did it. It was good.
Are we to worry about people being there when they shouldn't be, or is that going to be managed by someone else and we're not going to worry about that?
Okay, so yeah, I wanted to bring that up. 2 points. They're going to rely on the scheduled distribution ahead of time, and then they have volunteers be there when the person comes to get a quarter quart of wood, and I volunteered to be one of those volunteers. So they would call me and say, "There's somebody coming on Saturday. They only do it on Saturdays. This person is coming. Would you be there to help them?" But the second point is that I would like to talk at some point with the board or maybe the town administrator about security for that because it's on our property, but it's other people's property. We have talked about budget for surveillance there, but I would like to know how to go ahead with that.
Yep, well, certainly the meeting minutes that we just approved,
Right.
it fell under some of the board's goals for budget. So I think as we get a little closer in, I don't doubt that either David will be reaching out to you or, you know, that process of trying to get some more concrete numbers
Okay.
for that, so we can expand on that conversation.
And I'm sorry, Layla, excuse me. I'm sorry, Kern, did I answer your question or was I rambling?
Oh, yeah. No,
Okay.
you did a good job. I wouldn't know anything about rambling, so who am I to say?
Okay,
But Mike, thank you very much for bringing that to the board and seeing that through. Good
Yeah.
job.
well, it gives me ideas for my next building project at my place, yeah.
It's really heartwarming for sure. It's awesome. Okay, and I do have an update. We had a EMS review committee meeting finally last week that was called with what, 2 days notice, David? And there wasn't an agenda in particular, as it wasn't associated with a quarterly report. It seemed to be getting to know you again. And it sounds like we're going to have another meeting sometime in January in association with the next distribution of the quarterly reports from Northeast Mobile Health Services, and hopefully with the anticipated scheduling of the year's meeting, so it'll be a little less haphazard. So that's kind of the long and the short of it. It sounded like the tone that was getting thrown around in the review meeting was that all the partnering municipalities would be looking to sign a renewal of the contract with Northeast Mobile Health, but you know, that was just in conversation. So we'll see.
Great.
Okay, anything else on selectmen updates? And if not, we'll move along to the treasurer and payroll warrants to approve and sign, and I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the board approve the treasurers and payroll warrants.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Any discussion? Seeing none. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson,
Yes.
Selectman Ray,
Yes,
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, the motion passes. And is there any other business the board wishes to attend? Not seeing anything? Well done, everyone, and we'll entertain a final motion.
I move that we adjourn.
second,
So moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Ray. Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, oh, David, yes.
The administrator remembered one other thing to say under administrative report. Now that most people have tuned off, just want to, regardless of whatever you celebrate this time of year, married to you.
thank you,
You too, David. Thank you.
thank you.
Peace on earth, goodwill towards men, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Where were we? Let's see.
You're about to start taking the
Voting.
vote.
Okay, thank you. Selectman Late, what is your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson,
Yes.
Selectman Ray,
Yes.
and Selectman Dunn. Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Happy
Good night.